I actually wanted to talk about one of my ancestors in particular. I made 3 of my 4 prints about Laura Alibag, inspired by her work. The one over here of the desert, and also the 2 ones in black over there that are like 4 prints. Um, so she was a Chicana photographer who passed away in 2018. Um, and I feel like the themes of her work were really like ahead of her time. In the 80s and 90s, she was doing stuff like doing naked self-portraits in nature, talking about Mexican American identity, exploring gender, and also talking about just like the Latino lesbian community around her. Um, but these, arts institutions were not like giving her the respect and appreciation that she deserved. Now, of course, after her death, they are talking about her work. There's all these academic articles about her which come up when you research her name. And so that was what was coming up when I was trying to find more about her life. But it's ironic because she actually did work like criticizing these same institutions because she was talking about how they denied access to women of color, to queer artists, to I don't know, just like people who wanted to express themselves and it wasn't being appreciated at the time. And so, so these analyses just really didn't resonate with me. I found them to be kind of like feeling off. And there was even one where like she had a self-portrait of herself in this series called Latino Lesbians, and she surrounded it with loteria cards. And one of the articles described it as cartoony tarot cards. And I was like, what are you doing? I was like, what is going on? So I didn't really feel like they were accurate, and I didn't resonate with their how they were talking about her work. So I felt like I had to rely on my own connection to her, like based on the identities that we share, also as a Chicana lesbian. And so that was a really vulnerable process for me because I was having to go like through my own experience, looking at her work and thinking about like just how, I don't know, like what she might have been feeling at the time. Why was she making these decisions in her photography? What compelled her to do certain things? And I hope that I honored her in the best way that I could. But it was definitely something that I had to, like, because of these like institutions, like rely on like that rather than, the information that I could find about her. So through that process, I really strengthened my connection with her and my relationship to her like, as an ancestor. And I hope to continue to do that in the future, things that I do. Even in ways that I didn't expect, like during the time of the workshop, it was really a rough time for me. Personally, there was like things going on, but like some of my friends taught me like film photography just like as a hobby. And anyway, it was like how I got through that time was like through this like new hobby, and it was really fun and exciting. But that was also like a way that Laura like got through like struggles with mental health, as well as like she had dyslexia, so that was like why she was introduced to photography to like find a way to express herself that her brother like introduced photography to her. So even in these ways that I didn't like mean to, I found myself connecting with Laura. So I'm really appreciative of that ancestor and of like everyone's Katie's guidance and connecting with the ancestors, and also with the other members of the cohort and seeing how they were connecting with them. So. The print I wanted to talk about is this one right here, which is about an author named Anthony Veasna. And so he was my American author and visual artist, and he was gay. He was from Stockton, and he passed away at the age of 28. He was living in San Francisco at the time of his death, and he passed away like in 2020, just like a few years ago. So the process of this print started when I read his collection of short stories called After Parties. It's a really powerful depiction of his Khmer community in Stockton, but there's also queerness that's very present throughout the book. And that really moved me and resonated with me in the way that he depicted those two things. So I wanted to portray like a variety of elements in the print. One of the things was just a portrait of him because I wanted to honor his memory. Another thing was just these different memories that came back because I'm also from the same area of California. It brought back memories of like being a teenager there, and I saw these now through like a queer lens, and so I wanted to include those in the print. And another thing was a quote in the background that was about, there was like various writings that people had done after his death, and one of them was his partner. He wrote a quote that's talking about how he was struggling to reconcile his Khmer American identity with his queerness. And because of that tension, that's a lot of the reason that why he was creating art. And that really resonated with me because I've also experienced that tension within my own communities, and that's the main reason that I want to create art as well. So using all these things together was like a lot to plan it. I utilized a technique called the jigsaw method that others in my cohort had been using, and they inspired me. It's when you cut up the lino plate and you ink it with different colors, and then you reassemble it and put it through the press at once. And it was really hard. I was like, oh my god, I redid it a bunch of times. Like with Zoe, I was like telling Zoe, like, can you help me? Like, why isn't it fitting together? But everyone was very supportive in helping me through the struggle of that. And I'm happy to be able to like honor Anthony by including the elements that I wanted.